is that place where I posted it? There. Now let's go and get the pop chat out. All right. And we got some people in the chat. Hello to Oleander, Pawn Hearts, Hair Metal Brony, Chelsea, and Avenue Teal. Yes. So, let me bring OBS back over. Hey guys, Rainer and Shades here, exercising my first Amendment rights stream style. Now on to the next stream in this series of Guitar Hero soundtrack tier list rankings. And I decided to do Rock the 80s next because it comes the next chronologically. It's basically supposed to be like a sequel to Guitar Hero 2 because it reuses the venues and characters, although giving them some more 80s looking designs and whatnot. Like, for example, there's the hair metal character that looks way more hair metal. And what else was there? Good bit more. But they all look more retro and all that. And this soundtrack features mostly, and I say mostly because you'll find out in a second, well, not a second, but later, but it features predominantly 80s songs, and, you know, me being a hair metal nerd and an 80s music nerd in general, of course I'm gonna fucking have this game. Of course I'm gonna enjoy it, because the game was almost sort of designed for me and whatnot, me being somebody who was very kind of obsessive, like back in high school, about this kind of music, and I still really like it and whatnot. Obviously, my taste is a lot different. I'm wearing a Chon shirt. That should tell you that my taste is a lot more varied now than it was around the time I first played this game. But I still had fun with it, though, you know, I was listening to most of the songs in here already before, you know, playing this, so obviously the covers sound a lot different to me and whatnot. The singers kind of sound not as good, but that's kind of to be expected and whatnot. There are some original master recordings, and I'll point those out as we go. But yeah, this game wasn't as popular, I guess, because it didn't really, you know, tickle the fancy of a lot of the people in the demographic that was playing Guitar Hero. But like I said, this is definitely made to appeal to, you know, the 80s music nerds and the people who really enjoy 80s metal and whatnot. And me and Space Metal Ferrari, I mentioned this in some streams before, but we talk a lot about 80s metal and stuff that we would like to see in a sequel to this game, or if this game was remade or had a different soundtrack and whatnot. And another thing I just remembered that kind of says a good bit as to how not very popular this game was. I remember who else was on YouTube back in the day when people uploaded videos of custom Guitar Hero songs. To do that, you needed to sort of replace already existing songs in a game with the custom ones, and most people were using Rock the 80s for that. And I didn't really think much of it at the time, but then you look back on it and it's like, huh? But yeah, 80s, the time of hair metal, not even just hair metal, but also for like arena rock and new wave and, you know, that kind of stuff. Someone should add The Web by Marillion on Clone Hero and play it on YouTube. That would be a cool song to see on Clone Hero. It's probably also not as popular because it wasn't on Xbox 360. That's right. That's true, too. This was only available on PlayStation, which was good for me because, you know, we didn't have Guitar Hero on Xbox. The Xbox was my brother's. I didn't really use it. The Guitar Hero and Rock Band games we only had them for PlayStation. So, with that out of the way, let me change over to the GIMP scene and get this window ready. So, let's begin. This soundtrack is also shorter than Guitar Hero 2's, so this stream might be a bit quicker than the last one. I love Guitar Hero videos. Whoops. I saw a few customs. Yeah, like most of the people who were making custom Guitar Hero videos were using this game as like a template and whatnot. But I really liked watching those videos. It was always interesting to see, how how the charts looked and whatnot, and what they probably would have looked like had the song actually appeared in a game. And that's what made those videos like really interesting for me back when I was 14 and really getting into the stuff. So anyway, we'll start this off with Los Angeles by X, a song I really don't have a memory of because I just didn't think anything of it. X, it's kind of a dumb name because it's just a single letter and that's really it. But I was nothing about this really interested me that much. A lot of kind of early 80s punk sort of had this problem. Most of the 80s punk that I tend to like is hardcore, and this just didn't sound like it at all. So, right off the bat, I'm putting this in the F tier, because that's how much I just really don't care for this song. Thrash metal, death metal also. Yeah, thrash metal got its start in the 80s. Death metal had its roots in the 80s. Like, its first bands were there as well. Mastering Guitar Hero while mastering a real guitar is like mastering two different instruments, pretty much. Like, that's sort of what I was doing, sort of. But as time went on, I was playing more real guitar than Guitar Hero, so it just kind of, became something that I didn't really do all that often. I think I should start using videp more. Sounds like a combination of video and EP. Even though the Darkness, I believe a thing called Love, I swear, fit in with the 80s. Yeah, it's almost like the Darkness was a throwback band. Anyway. Next. What? We Got the Beat by the Go-Go's. This is like one of the first like all-female bands that I think ever existed. Like, the first one to my knowledge was the Runaways, which featured Joan Jett, Lita Ford, Cherry Curie. This was another one of the firsts, featuring, of course, Belinda Carlisle, and this is one of their best-known songs, along with Our Lips Are Sealed, which is very catchy. This song is very uplifting and fun, and, it always gets a good smile out of me. They sound like a group of girls just having fun, and that's what it's all about, right? That's the spirit of equality and all that good shit. So I'm putting this in the B tier only because, I wouldn't say I like it as much as certain other ones. But yeah, the Go-Go's I think are an alright band, especially in new wave. I believe in a thing called love and just listen to the rhythm of my heart. Runaways feel like a one-hit wonder. They pretty much were. The song they're best known for is Cherry Bomb, and I don't really like the song all that much. I'm really not all that into the Runaways. I talked about Joan Jett in Guitar Hero in the Guitar Hero 1 tier list stream, and not really being super huge into her either. Lita Ford, I do enjoy some material from. But yeah, I like the Go-Go's. We Got the Beat, flashbacks to Jimmy Neutron. Yes! This was played in the fight scene in the Jimmy Neutron movie when they're fighting the Yokians. Song is pretty okay. The Darkness sounds more like Boston than Queen. You definitely hear some Boston in there too, but they definitely got a lot of comparisons to Queen, mostly because of the vocals. Next, we get a song that actually isn't from the 80s, but sounds like it's from the 80s. It's called Because It's Midnight by Limousine, which is a band from the Homestar Runner series, much like Trogdor, one of the bonus songs in Guitar Hero 2. Both Strong Bad and Limousine are from that same series, which leads me to think that the developers in Guitar Hero were like big fans of Homestar Runner. As far as this song goes, I think it could have been a lot better and a lot more authentic than it really is. I do really like the keyboard solo, which is a bitch in the game. But you can tell it's a keyboard because, it sounds like a keyboard. It doesn't actually really sound like a guitar or even like a MIDI guitar or anything like that. The lyrics, of course, and the vocals are just really cliche and whatnot. The song is kind of unintentionally funny. For what it is, it's just okay. Could have been much better. And also, this goes without saying, but they could have stood to actually get a song that's from the 80s, because look how many there are. Like I said before, me and Space Metal, we talk about this shit with each other all the time. About songs that could have been in this game, like not even just 80s metal songs, but just stuff in general that isn't even metal. And I feel like that's because I remember reading one time they were originally wanting I Want Candy by Bow Wow Wow, which you probably know for being covered by Aaron Carter. But they were originally planning on having that song in the game, but I guess it didn't work out, so sort of as I guess this must have been sort of a last minute kind of decision to use this, limousine song. I'm putting this in the B tier as well. Jimmy Neutron, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. The reason is because Cherry messed up her life, I think. Pretty boring. La na na na, hey do do do. Pretty lazy. Yeah, the riff in that song also just isn't really exciting. It's like, okay. It's not as exciting as we all know hair metal is. Anyway, next. What I Like About You by the Romantics. Another song that I'm not super huge on in this game. It's kind of fun, it's kind of catchy, but I just never really was all that into the song. And another thing about this song is, since they were still, recording, covers of the stuff, the Romantics actually filed a lawsuit on Harmonix because the cover in the game sounded very similar to the original version, which I personally would take that as a compliment at actually sounding authentic and whatnot. But still, when the song was licensed, they kind of, it's not like they were directly ripping it off or anything like that, or trying way too hard to copy them. There are some, subtle nuances that you can sort of notice, but regardless, this is a song that I've always found sort of boring, but not as boring as the X song, so I'm putting it in E tier. I'm waiting for Iran so far. Double Vision by Foreigner. That's not from the 80s. I think that was in the late 70s, before the 80s actually started. I remember Borrow, I Want Candy. Talking in Your Sleep, What I Like About You. I Know a Guy Who's Tough But Sweet. And I Don't Care for the Romantics, and the vocals annoy me a little. I prefer the 5 Sing as a summer cover. Huh. I appreciate Nina doing both translations for 99 Love Balloons. Yeah, that's also a fun song that I have a pretty nice memory of. One of the camps that I used to go to, we did a cover of the Nina version of 99 Red Balloons, the English one, of course. Of course, you can't go wrong with Goldfinger's version as well. That's really fun. Double Vision was released in 1978. Right. Next, get Synchronicity 2 by The Police. When I first heard the song, when I first played it, the song sounded way too weird for me. This weird progression, especially in the pre-chorus with a diminished fifths and whatnot. It's like, ugh. But as time went on, the song really grew on me a good bit, and now it's actually my favorite song by The Police because of just all the very interesting elements and whatnot. Obviously, Message in a Bottle was great, and Guitar Hero 2. This one, I'm not sure if I want to call it a step up, just because it's my favorite song from The Police, but the both of those songs have a lot of, good elements that made The Police enjoyable and whatnot, mostly having to do with Andy Summers as a guitarist. The drumming is obviously better in Message in a Bottle than over here, but this song is still interesting as hell. So I'm going to put this in the A tier. That's Supergirl by XTC. 99 Red Balloons Go By. Awesome Keyboard Intensifies. Sting is Creepy. Or Real by Real. Next, we got 18 in Life by Skid Row. I love this song very much. I love the guitar solo very much. It's one of my favorite solos of all time. Just how melodic and sweet and atmospheric it all is. The lyrics are, of course, very dark, talking about this very troubled rebel kid named Ricky who lived a really rough life and committed some violence and killed himself, I believe, too. It's a pretty sad song and whatnot, but again, the fucking solo just really lifts this song for me. It's not my favorite Skid Row song. That would go to Midnight Tornado. But this one is a very strong track on their first album. So, definite S tier for this. Yeah, who writes a song about being in love with a student? Right, I'm sure we all remember Adosa Buckley's musical Odyssey on Don't Stand So Close to Me. Which was apparently about that. It's like, okay. Some of Sting's lyrics sound like they were written by a stalker, of course, obviously. Obviously, Every Breath You Take comes to mind. It's the stalker anthem, as people call it. Murder by Numbers Anyone, that's a song by The Police. Like, they're interesting musicians, but lyrically they've always been, like, very eyebrow-raising, definitely. Next, on the topic of creepy lyrics, 17 by Winger. If you thought Cherry Pie was disturbing, look at this. There's a line in the chorus that goes, "Daddy says she's too young, but she's old enough for me." If this song were released today, it would be an obvious fucking no-show at all. It would not pass today at all. Frankly, it's kind of surprising that it passed back in 88 when the song was released. And I told this story in one of my shirt collection videos when I saw Winger live at the beginning of 2019. When they played this song, I was... throughout their whole set, I was thinking to myself, what are they going to do with fucking 17? Because it's one of their best-known songs, if not their best-known song. But these lyrics are definitely suspect and whatnot. If anybody was, analyzing it today, they would not be kind to it. And there was one point when they were playing the song when they say she's only 47. Which is not only, I guess, appropriate given how old they are, but also given how the album this comes from, the self-titled, had actually turned 30 years old. So 17 plus 30 equals 47. So that was a clever save, I guess. But regardless, outside of that whole aspect of the lyrics, this song fucking rules. Winger are actually a really awesome band. Reb Beach is a phenomenal guitarist. You had Rod Morgenstein on drums, who was from the Dixie Dregs, a very excellent prog rock jazz fusion band. And you can hear a lot of those sort of fusion-y elements, even in this song, in his fills, and during the bridge where there's the do-do-do-do-do-do-ba-da-da-da-da when he displaces the beat. I always thought that part was awesome. And the solo fucking rips. I love it so much. Oh, fuck. But yeah. Shame on you, Beavis and Butthead, for fucking making fun of this band. But you know what? I'm putting it in S as well, just for the music alone. The lyrics might be cringy, but I think the solo and everything else just more than makes up for that. She's everything I need, 17. And this is why I like Depeche Mode, or at least enjoy the Silence and Master and Servant aren't creepy songs, well, unless you consider the Bondage and Master and Servant creepy. Winger's a fantastic band, and yes, ranking the 80s soundtrack nice. Yeah. Like if you listen to more songs of theirs, you can hear a lot of really top-notch elements, which is why I view Winger as one of the best glam bands, like, ever. Because they were all great musicians. Up next, we got No One Like You by the Scorpions. A song from my favorite album of the Scorpions, Blackout. Wouldn't say it's my favorite, though. That would probably be Can't Live Without You. But this is a cool song. I always liked it a lot more than Rock You Like a Hurricane. I always liked the solo a lot better. It's framed a lot nicer. And, you know, I feel like there's a lot more emotion in the song. And, yeah. Good, solid glam song. I'm going to put this in the S tier as well. I love their newer material as well, and 17 would be an S rank as well. I wish Aquarium Rescue Unit had 80s music because their songs are awesome improv. Scorpions are my favorite 80s hard rock band. Cool. Next, what do we got? The Warrior by Scandal. This is one of the songs that actually had a master recording. They didn't do a cover for this one. And as far as, like, simple 80s pop rock goes, I think the song is fine. It's never been super special to me, but for what it is, I always thought it was fine. I liked the singing on the song, and the chorus is, of course, quite catchy. So did the one the body, bang, bang. It's pretty cool. Pretty nice. This I'm going to put in B tier. Next, got Round and Round by Rat. A song that they get labeled as a one-hit wonder for, as I mentioned in the One Hit Wonder Band's video, where I talked about this song. Obviously, you know, it's a good song. It's got a very scorching riff that really influenced how I write triad-based riffs and whatnot with the their use of the 6 chord where they do a double augmentation on the 3rd in the chord. Basically, let me show you what I mean. Let me turn my shit on over here. And I'm referring to this part. Like doing this note. I always really liked that about the song, and I have Round and Round to thank for really getting me into that. And Rat actually do that a lot in a lot of their songs. And I guess they sort of, were kind of innovative in the genre for really, doing that, because it's kind of a staple in a lot of glam metal riffs. It's one big reason why I think Rat is another one of the best in the genre. Both Warren DeMartini and Robin Crosby, may God rest his soul, they were both excellent players. Bobby Blotzer, for as much of a douche as he kind of went on to become, great drummer. And Stephen Pearcy definitely has a very recognizable rasp and whatnot. It's kind of unfortunate that not too many people that aren't like 80s metal fans know more than just this song. Though, that's not to say that the song is bad or anything, because it isn't. I just prefer songs like Nobody Rides for Free and Back for More and what's another one? Dangerous But Worth the Risk, Way Cool Jr. I could go on. They have a lot of very good material on those first 5 albums. Maybe not so much the 5th one, but there's definitely some good material. Lovin' You's a Dirty Job is my favorite on that 5th one, on Detonator. I'm going to put this in the A tier. Um, I like Still Loving You, but To Each Their Own. Yeah, that's a very good ballad. In fact, that's actually my favorite song on Love at First Sting. Wikipedia says 17 is Winger's most popular song. It's not even their highest charting. I think Headed for a Heartbreak was higher charting. Patti Smith over Patti Smith, hot take. The Warrior, also thought to have been by Pat Benatar. It does sound like Pat Benatar. It sounds like a lot of 80s female artists. A lot of them sounded like that. That Rat song reminds me of a better Beach Boys song. I only like the solos Round and Round. The harmony part has always been my favorite part. Another S rank. Yeah, it's a good song. I just think they have better ones. And Out of the Cellar is... It's always a toss-up between Out of the Cellar and Invasion of Your Privacy for my favorite. In my opinion, Rat is not a one-hit wonder band. Do others know? They have Dance, Body Talk, You're in Trouble, You're in Love, Lay It Down, and Slip of the Lip. Yeah, they do have other singles, and a simple look at Wikipedia would prove that. But they get labeled as a one-hit wonder because most people just know Round and Round, and it's unfortunate. Also back for more. Next, we got Radar Love, the version by White Lion, originally, of course, by Golden Earring. And in my opinion, I like White Lion's version a lot better than Radar Love's. Like Radar Love's than Golden Earrings. The Golden Earring song is good, but I feel like what White Lion do with the song is they take that song and just kind of expand on it. Like the guitar fills that Vito Bratta does in between the lines and the verses. You know, he does a lot more there. The solo, of course, is also great because, of course, it's great. Vito Bratta is, in my opinion, the best that existed at the time. Like, as far as, like, glam shred guitars, as far as, like, guitarists in that genre, you really could not get much better than Vito Bratta. Nuno Bettencourt does come close, but Vito Bratta, I just think, has a very special kind of touch and a very special kind of style that you don't really hear in too many other, people. And that's why White Lion I view as another one of the best that existed, in that part of the genre's history and all that. And this is a very well done cover. It's one of my favorite cover songs ever. I do wish they had used an original song of White Lion's that isn't When the Children Cry, obviously. Like, my favorite song of White Lion's would be Don't Give Up from the Pride album. You also have Lonely Nights and Little Fighter and Wait, of course, and a bunch more. Like, another definite S tier for me. Invasion of Your Privacy classic as well. I Don't Believe in Love by Queensrÿche. Round and Round was on a Geico commercial. I remember that. I also remember there was one that had Europe playing Final Countdown. Is this about the band's love for the character Radar from MASH? Vito Bratta's underrated. He's criminally underrated. I really wish more people knew about him, especially if they're into guitar virtuoso type players. Lonely Nights is excellent as well. I do agree with this cover being good. Vito is definitely a virtuoso. I wish he would come back to music. He's been, absent from the scene for, decades. The last thing I know he did was... I think he made, one appearance in an interview in, 2007, but other than that, the only other thing I know he did after White Lion broke up was he produced an album by a band called CPR, which stands for the three members of the band, Randy Coven, Al Petrelli, and Stephen Riley. And that's a good, sort of jazzy metal album and whatnot. But other than that, he hasn't really been heard from since, and I find that to be kind of unfortunate as well, because he was great. Hopefully he's actually still playing in his spare time and he hasn't become rusty or anything like that, because that would be sad too. Up next, we got another cover of a cover. Ballroom Blitz, originally by The Sweet and covered here by Crocus. Another pretty underrated 80s metal band from Switzerland. One of the few bands I can think of from that country. And this is an alright cover. You know, it's a pretty fun cover, definitely. But of course, you know, there's absolutely nothing at all wrong with the original version. It's fun too. Like, it's one of the funnest songs I can think of, honestly, as far as like 70s music goes and all that. I'm putting this in... I'm putting it in B tier. I don't think it's A tier worthy. Next, we got Only a Lad by Oingo Boingo, a band with a very funny sounding name. This has always been my favorite song from Oingo Boingo. They're definitely a band worth checking out. Mainly because, you know, the musical parts are pretty interesting, and you have Danny Elfman in the band, who is best known for composing the Simpsons theme and doing a bunch of other film scoring and all that. But the band he had, Oingo Boingo, very, very good new wave band in my opinion. Of course, they have another song that's kind of the pedophile anthem, you know, which of course is I love little girls. Fucking creepy. But this song's pretty goddamn fun. And it's another song that I remember, you know, playing the bass part for in practice mode, like I talked about in the last stream, and having a good time there. This I'm going to put in the A tier. Sweet is Awesome, Debaser by the Pixies. I've never really been a fan of Pixies. Awesome guitar song. It's okay, but the original Ballroom Blitz is just amazing. Yeah, I mean, Crocus do a good metal kind of rendition and whatnot, but that's pretty much what it is. Yes, Oingo Boingo is great. Crocus is underrated, and so is Loudness. Yes. I dig Oingo Boingo. Yes. This is why I think I have such a good audience, is because you see where I get at with a lot of this 80s bullshit. Next, we get Nothing But a Good Time by Poison, or as it's called in the game, Ain't Nothing But a Good Time. I have no idea why they titled it that, but regardless, this is what it's actually called. And, you know, whenever people shit on Poison, I always just kind of cry inside, because this song is not only really fun, it not only has one of the most excellent riffs in the genre, but the solo is excellent as well. There was one time in high school in my English class where we had an assignment to, I guess, sort of write a persuasive review of a song, and I chose to write it about this song because at the time it was my favorite song. And my first draft had me just going into really, really kind of needlessly specific detail on like every aspect about this song. And it was for that same reason that one of my first college projects in my MIDI and audio production class was a MIDI arrangement of the song as well. That's how special this song is to me. That said, though, you know, Poison obviously have a good bit other of, you know, good material as well on their first 4 albums. Yes, even the album that Richie Kotzen plays on, you know, that there's some good parts there as well. Richie Kotzen is a very good guitarist as well. But yeah, I love this song a lot, and I will forever be one of those naysayers whenever people complain about Poison. After all, they were the first band I did a What's Wrong With about. And yes. One minor qualm I have with Crocus is that the style of the chorus in nearly all of their songs I've heard sound the same. Some are still catchy as hell. Listen to though. See Ready to Burn for that. Yeah, I always sort of found Crocus kind of okay. They've never really been a band I found super exceptional, but a good enough listen. Yeah, Little Girls aged really poorly. Herbert from Family Guy must love that Oingo Boingo song, except no, he likes little boys. I don't really see him talk about girls at all. Nothing But Good Time Baby, 1, 2, 3, into the 4. Classic Poison song, I love the guitar solo as well. Also, I agree with the many people that say Mark Storrs sounds very similar to Bon Scott. I like the original Ballroom Blitz. The title of that Poison friend just reminds of a better Dr. Dre song. Nothing But a Good Time is excellent, but Talk Dirty to Me introduced me to the band thanks to Guitar Hero 3. Same here. And when I listened to Nothing But a Good Time, it blew that out the water. I could not get into Poison at all. That's okay. You know, for some people, they're a bit too over the top. For some people, they're a bit too tongue-in-cheek and whatnot. I do think that the musicians themselves, particularly C.C. DeVille, the guitarist, I do think they're good players for sure, especially DeVille. Next, what do we got? We got Bang Your Head, Metal Health by Quiet Riot. I like the song, but I do not like the version in the game. Mainly because they took out the guitar solo just for the sake of putting this in the first tier. And the song just sounds so empty without it, and so I always hated playing it in the game. I like listening to the song more than I do playing it in the game, because the solo is very excellent. Carlos Cavazo is a great player. This is definitely not my favorite song from Quiet Riot. Come On Feel the Noise, I always thought was a much more fun song. And then you have other songs on Metal Health like Slick Black Cadillac and Love's a Bitch, and it's a good album, you know? Not a bad choice for a first metal album to hit number 1. So I'm putting this in the A tier because the song itself is good, but I'm not putting it in the S tier because of how it feels just botched without the existence of the solo. It's a disservice, for sure. Wasp, Skid Row, Whitesnake, Poison. I agree, yeah. How the heck could they remove the guitar solo? Nightbirds by Shack Attack is underrated jazz funk guitar song. I've never heard of that. Random fun fact, I don't know why, but my mom have always called Bret Michaels Bert. Don't ask why, because I don't know. Probably because the E is right next to the R on the keyboard. And, I don't know. Now I'm just imagining Bert from Sesame Street wearing a hair metal wig. Next, we got Electric Eye by Judas Priest. A song I alluded in the first Guitar Hero stream to being my favorite of Judas Priest's. And a much huge step up from You Got Another Thing Coming. You Got Another Thing Coming, it's a catchy song, it's got an awesome solo, but Electric Eye just rules. As does The Hellion, which is the intro that leads into the song that they included in this game, which I thought was a very excellent touch. I think this might have actually been a master recording as well, if I recall. It has a ripping solo. It's fast. It's got a big drive. And yeah, just about everything you could want in a Judas Priest song. I hate, however, that they did not play the song or Painkiller live when I saw them back in 2014. Definite S tier here as well. Lol, Sesame Street hair metal. I'm so annoyed that they left the solo off the song in the game. Quiet Riot without solos is like a Metallica album with no solo. More like a Metallica album with no snare drum. Heyo. Metal Health Bang Your Head is unbelievably kick-ass. Yes, Electric Eye, absolutely epic, easy S rank. Electric Eye as well. Screaming for Vengeance album is an S tier. Foxhole Television. Screaming for Vengeance is my favorite Judas Priest album, largely because of Electric Eye. Next, we got I Wanna Rock by Twisted Sister. Another song that was a master recording in the game, and it was actually master recorded by Twisted Sister themselves. They actually came in and made a re-recording, which they tuned down a half step for it, which is why it sounds kind of weird to me whenever I play this in the game. I'm not sure I really like the re-recording as much. I mean, I like the song. I like the song fine. A lot more than we're not going to take it for sure. And of course, I'm obligated to mention SpongeBob movie. I'm obligated to mention that. Which, fun fact about that, while I'm thinking about that, they play a sample from Just a Gigolo, I Ain't Got Nobody by David Lee Roth. When they have SpongeBob doing this dance, he's like, I'm a la bibla zibla bibla, I'm a la bibla zibla pop. And I always thought that was really funny sounding when I was a kid. And then one day when I'm watching the SpongeBob movie, like, as an adult, I'm like, wait a fucking second, that's fucking David Lee Roth right there. It's from my favorite song of his. Wow. But anyway, yeah, I Wanna Rock. Good song. My favorite of Twisted Sisters, I would say, is between Come Out and Play and Burn in Hell. I'm putting this in the A tier. That's 2 songs in a row that were featured in V-Rock from GTA Vice City. The SpongeBob movie song, yep, Now I Wanna Rock. So many songs from V-Rock are showing up. I'm a go big go bar rock. SpongeBob movie is the reason why I like the song. Yeah, I remember noticing that whenever I first listened to Twisted Sister and listened to the song, I'm like, this is the SpongeBob movie song. They're ripping it off. And then it's like, wait a minute. No, that makes no sense. Next, we get 3rd song in a row that was a master recording, I Ran So Far Away by A Flock of Seagulls. A band that, thanks to Todd in the Shadows video in his One Hit Wonderland series about this song and how highly he spoke of the band and everything else they've done, I actually looked more into, and I view them as another one of the best in New Wave that has a good catalog. But the song itself, it's good. I like playing it. I like playing it on real guitar as well. Has some nice parts to it. I also have a very, very, very funny joke about Flock of Seagulls not being able to play a Middle Eastern leg of their tour because I ran so far away. So where am I going to put this? I'm going to put this in the A tier. BTW, SpongeBob movie did not introduce me. I Wanna Rock. That was V-Rock and GTA. I Ran So Far Away. SS tier. I love I Ran So Far Away. S tier for me as well. Yeah, it's a good song. Just not sure I really like it as much as these ones that I have in the S tier. Next, Holy Diver by Dio. May God rest his soul. Song I was pretty happy to see in the game because it is such a classic that has a very good solo, very good drumming as well, and very passionate vocal delivery. You can't go wrong with it. It's also my favorite Dio album. Actually, again, it's always, tossed up between Holy Diver and Last in Line for my favorite of Dio's albums. Last in Line is my favorite Dio song. But obviously, you can't go wrong with this at all. So, obviously, you know it's going in the fucking S tier. It's a mega fucking classic. It's another song I did a presentation about in college one time because it was one of the most classic metal songs I could think of that is pretty much seen as like having all of the elements that you need for like a classic metal song and all that, and that's a big part of why it's remembered so fondly. Here in My Car I Feel Safest of All. Oh my god, that's a song that when I listened to that for the first time I was thinking, hey, it's that song that Stewie sings after that at the end of that one episode of Family Guy. Ha ha ha. Holy Diver is awesome, but I like Rainbow in the Dark more. That's solo. I'm not that huge on Rainbow in the Dark, but the solo is a big part of that. Not even the best song on the album. Holy Diver, the song Dio ripped off from Killswitch Engage. Yes, I remember thinking, actually, my first time playing Rock the 80s, I'm thinking, this isn't going to be some goof and they're going to throw in the Killswitch Engage version. Not that I don't like their version. Their version is excellent. But, yeah. You know what's weird? In the video for Just a Gigolo, I saw no comments mentioning the part sampled in the SpongeBob movie last time I checked. Someone should mention it. The music video for Holy Diver is so 80s cheese that it is. Stone Cold equals best 80s Rainbow solo. Yeah. Rainbow in the 80s, some people crap on the Joel and Turner era and Graham Bonnet era just because it's not Dio. But I like it just fine. Some of those albums I like more than the Dio albums, honestly. Jolin isn't the best, but I love that solo. I really like Jolin Turner as a vocalist. He's a good, AOR singer and whatnot. And also, he's a big part of why I love the album Odyssey by Yngwie Malmsteen. Which that actually came... Him singing on that album actually came from Yngwie Malmsteen wanting to work with, every singer that Ritchie Blackmore ever worked with. Because he was hugely influenced by Ritchie Blackmore. And I always thought that was interesting, an interesting thing that led to him teaming up with Joel and Turner, because he had already played with Graham Bonnet and Alcatraz, and he would also need to cross off David Coverdale, as well as Ian Gillan, of course, in order to fulfill that. I always thought that was an interesting thing about Odyssey. Personally, I just listen to Unruly Child if I want AOR. Ooh, someone else who knows that band. Next, we got my favorite song in the game, Play With Me by Extreme, the boss song, the freebird of this game. The song that I have Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure to thank for making me go, holy fuck, what is that song called that Beethoven is going crazy shredding on the keyboard with? I need to know what that song is. And thus leading me to discover this band that is one of my favorite bands ever to this day. Extreme and White Lion and Dokken, those are my big three of glam excellence. If you want to throw in a big four, I guess I'd throw Winger in there for or actually Whitesnake, maybe one of those two. If you wanted to have a big four of glam, my personal big four. I mean, I'm sure everyone has their own big four for this genre, but Extreme is definitely going to be part of mine, because Nuno Bettencourt is so fucking amazing. I could go on. So, easy S tier rank for me as well. Ronnie James Dio is one of a handful of people who pulled off the musical hat trick of being a member of 3 or more successful bands. Yeah, actually, you had Rainbow, Black Sabbath, and then solo. I'm not sure if I'd consider Elf successful, but it's noteworthy. Do you wanna play with me? Yep. Play With Me, the song I have only 5-starred once in Smash Hits. Also an S rank for me. Love the song so much. Isn't Danger Danger considered... Yes, they are. They definitely are. I did a whole video about this, of course. Great Extreme song. It's my favorite of theirs. Really, just about everything they've done is excellent. Pornography is my favorite of their albums, but the self-titled, it has some pretty fun stuff as well. Mostly with lyrics, dealing with childhood nostalgic things and whatnot, particularly in Play With Me when he's just listing stuff that kids do and whatnot. Yeah. It's unfortunate that, Extreme's best known song is an acoustic ballad, because then you have a song like this and it's wow. It's the same problem I have with Mr. Big as well. Which, Addicted to That Rush, I think would make for a pretty cool song to include in a game like this. Next, we got Shaken by Eddie Money. Another song that I really, really like. It's a song I actually remember, I think, coming really close, if not actually beating 100%. Whenever I played the game. It's a good, like, 80s hard rock AOR song. Has some very good guitar parts. And Eddie Money is actually, a good artist. Definitely, it's because of this song that I was actually, influenced to look more into his discography and actually develop some respect for him as an artist. It's for that reason I'm putting this. Screw it, I'm putting it in the S tier. Watch Mojo put Betancourt, don't know how to spell his last name, on their list of top 10 underrated guitarists. Wow, something cool that Watch Mojo did. Imagine that. This one, what do we got? We got, Rathchild by Iron Maiden. If you're going to go with a Di'Anno song, you can't go wrong with this. This has always been my favorite Paul Di'Anno era song. I sort of wish they went with a Dickinson song, but if you're going to go with a Di'Anno song, can't go wrong with this. It's got some very, slick parts in both the guitar and the bass as well. It's a big part of why I like Steve Harris so much. And, yeah, pretty cool song. Wouldn't say it's one of my favorites of all time, but it is one of my favorites of Di'Anno era Maiden. So, A tier for this. I think he was number 2 on the list, just under Prince. Wow. Di'Anno bass over Dickinson bass. That's debatable, but yeah. I know this is super original, but 2 Tickets to Paradise introduced me to Eddie Money thanks to the song's presence in GTA San Andreas. Next, we got Lonely is the Night by Billy Squire. From this album, Don't Say No. I like the parts in here. I remember teaching myself the song on real guitar and being pretty excited when I taught myself the whole thing. It's an alright song. I've just never been super huge into Billy Squire, but it's mostly because of this song that I think he's just alright. This I'm going to put in the... I'm going to put this in the A tier, because it's definitely my favorite of his. Yes, Rathchild, easy ring for me. Phantom of the Opera is my favorite of the Paul Di'Anno songs. Killers is better than the debut and Number of the Beast. Ooh. Rip Billy Squire's career after that trap music video. You're referring to... I remember... Rock Me Tonight, that's what the song was. I remember my friend Felix Wolf wanting to do a video about that, and I made him the thumbnail for that, where he was going to be talking about how stupid the music video was, because it's weird, him doing that weird dance. But yeah. Rock Me to Your Heart. I mean, I think that song is okay, just, wow, the music video just has... You just think of him wearing that outfit and doing that weird dance. Next, we got Balls to the Wall by Accept. Another band that deserves a lot of respect as far as 80s traditional metal goes. Especially when you're looking at German bands. Because, yes, Accept had some great material in their heyday. Balls to the Wall is, of course, a great album from them. This has a very memorable riff as well. I consider Accept actually pretty underrated, actually. I don't think they get nearly the love that I think they deserve compared to their contemporaries and all that. So, this has a lot going for it. I like it a good bit. So I'm putting this... Where am I going to put this? I'm putting it in the A tier, mainly because, I don't know, I'm not sure I like it as much as these other ones. It's still great, of course. The music video is cringe, but I do love the song, though. I wish they added Fast as a Shark instead. Yes. Udo should have been hired as a Brian Johnson replacement and not Axl. Yes. Yes, indeed. The riff to balls in the wall. The riff to balls to the wall used to be stuck in my head. You get your balls to the wall, man. I still enjoy Balls to the Wall. It's an A rank for me. Next, we got Heat of the Moment by Asia. Another very special song for me because my first band did a cover of this song in one of my high school's talent shows. And it was pretty fun to learn and pretty fun to play as well. I think Asia has better material on this album. Like, my favorite song of theirs is Wildest Dreams. This album is actually my favorite of 1982, if you can believe it. So, I do dig Asia a good bit. They're a very good supergroup, in my opinion, with excellent, with some excellent prog musicians from some excellent prog bands. They are a good bit more radio friendly than their original bands, but still enjoy them quite a lot. S tier for this. Only Time Will Tell, Heat of the Moment. I like that song. I'm not sure I like it more than Heat of the Moment, but it's a good one. Cheesy song, but I love it, and Asia has so much better. Wildest Dreams has awesome drums. Carl motherfucking Palmer, yes. The only surviving member of ELP. What do we got next? Hold On Loosely by 38 Special. Another song that really had a big effect on me as a guitarist. I would say I like Caught Up in You more than this song, but this still is a good song, and old viewers of mine will remember me playing part of this song in the video I made about Poker Brony, now known as Mort Al Human, who you saw in one of my live streams when we talked about the state of the ranting community. But when I was talking about overbearing parents and whatnot, I played this song in the background because it's all about, not being too clingy and protective and all that, but not, being too neglectful or careless or anything like that as well. And that's sort of a message that I was trying to get across in that video. And this song is mostly geared towards, relationships. And I think it's very good advice because you don't want to be too smothery or anything like that because that has potential to be a turnoff. At least that's the way I see it. But what I was talking about before, about the effect that it had on me as a guitarist. Let me turn my amp back on. The thing about this song that really got me intrigued is the part in the solo where he does this major pentatonic lick, where it's like... that thing. When I learned how to do that, I just could not stop doing it, to the point where I was now doing... and just, playing it faster and faster and faster. In fact, in one of Gardens of Acadia's songs, New Moon, on the Red, Yellow, and Blue EP, the whole solo is me just doing that, Yeah, I'm a bit rusty. It's been a while since I've played that, especially at that speed, but that's how much I love that lick, and just how much I just feel the need to do it in just about every solo I ever do. So, it's for that reason that that I really feel I need to put this in the S tier because of that. The solo itself is great as well. I love it a lot. When I hear about Asia the band, I think of 40-Year-Old Virgin when they mention, because he has a poster of the self-titled album, and when he's chasing after the woman on his bike, the song Heat of the Moment plays in the background in that scene. The only thing I don't like, one of the people in that movie is like, you know how I know you're gay? Because you like Asia. And it's like, screw you. Great song, A rank for me. Atomic Rooster, King Crimson, The Nice, ELP, really. I just listened to Wild Eyed Southern Boys today, and I agree Caught Up in You is better than Hold On Loosely. I don't really like 38 Special. Fun fact, first time I heard a snippet of Balls to the Wall was from a recording of the time Alice in Chains went to Action Park in an episode of Headbangers Ball. The last 2 seconds of the music video was playing before the show resumed. I always found them to be okay at best. Yeah, I've never been like the hugest on 38 Special. It's really just those 2 songs that really, jump out at me especially for that major pentatonic lick. My family overplayed them, and I just grew to be bored and tired of their sounds. Generals and Majors is fun to play on guitar. They're definitely not the most replayable band for me. Next, we got Bathroom Wall by Faster Pussycat. Another band that no one outside of, glam fans tend to really like at all. Even then, I've never exactly really found Faster Pussycat to be one of the better bands in that scene. They always sounded just kind of trashy to me. The guitarists never really impressed me that much. They're not horrible, but I just always sort of preferred better. Bathroom Wall is pretty fun and whatnot. It's, a fun song, of course, got your number on the bathroom wall and all that. The song I've always preferred from Faster Pussycat would be Babylon, which, is best known for this little thing they do in the chorus where it goes, puss, 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 pussycat, shut up! Which makes me think a lot of Smosh. Power Metal by Pantera is just for the intro alone. I hate any band with Pussycat in their name. Terrible band. Well, with a name like Faster Pussycat, can you blame them? The name was actually inspired by a horror movie called Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. I've never seen that movie. I'm not sure I'm interested in seeing it, but that's where it's from. Another song that I have kind of a thing for with Faster Pussycat would be on their third album, Whipped, which is very light sounding, because of course it is. It's 92, and tides are kind of turning. The song Nonstop to Nowhere, I always found that song to be just really relaxing and pretty smooth, even though the vocals I don't think really fit the tone of the song. But yeah, I'm putting this in the C tier. Another thing is I always just found the riff in the song just kind of too simplistic, just da, 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 da. Like, okay, that's really creative. Just makes me think of the Pussycat Dolls, and we all know how much ass that band sucks. Yep. I remember Pussycat Dolls and how much I hated them at the time. Next, we got Turning Japanese by the Vapors. Another song from One Hit Wonderland, which I'm sure most people know for the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da thing that everybody likes playing whenever they touch a piano. And I'm sure, this song's way fifth and all that. The song is actually not about Japanese culture. It's about the face you make when you're masturbating to somebody. When I learned about that, I'm like, what the fuck? that just makes the song all the more hilarious to me. The song already sounds really funny on its own. Just how the vocals sound and just how quick paced the song is. It's like, But yeah. This I'm gonna put in the B tier. So many more appealing names than Faster Pussycat. I dig Turning Japanese. It's a fun song. Most of the members weren't even actually singing. Another song that would not go well if it was released today due to people taking the name literally. Yeah. I mean, even looking at, the actual meaning of the song, I'm sure people would say that's racially insensitive and all that. It's like, why do you feel the need to compare that to how Japanese eyes look? Party Tonight from Regular Show is an unofficial Lost 80s song, even if it's fictional. Like an idea I sort of think that this game should have done. They should have had bonus songs where the bonus songs are by bands that sound like they're from the 80s but actually aren't. I think that would have made for a nice touch. Next we got, what's this? Police Truck by the Dead Kennedys. Always found this one to be okay. I guess it would be like one of my favorites of Dead Kennedys and whatnot. It's definitely fast-paced and all that. And Dead Kennedys, of course, they've always been a band I considered, a favorite as far as like 80s punk goes. So I'm going to put this, I'm putting this in B tier. And finally, last but certainly not least, it's Caught in a Mosh by Anthrax. I would say this is a step up from Madhouse in Guitar Hero 2. This song is nuts. I love it a lot. It's one of my favorites of Anthrax's, and it's one of my favorites on Among the Living. It might actually be my favorite. I'm not sure. Maybe. But, yeah, the song is quite nuts. So, there it is. This goes in the S tier. And there you have it. There is my tier list for the songs in Guitar Hero Rock the 80s. Let me catch up with this. Transracial. I wonder if that was the original song Carlton from Fresh Prince would do his dance to. I hate PC cultures. Good show and good song. Summertime Lovin', the unofficial summer song from Regular Show. Oh, you transphobic, homophobic, humanphobic. I don't really watch Fresh Prince. Just listen to the music with Jazzy Jeff, who rules. He does rule. He's Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince. That's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. It's funny, corny 80s rap. Love Dead Kennedys, absolutely a highlight of the soundtrack. Is more like a 60s. Summertime Lovin' is more like a 60s revival song. Another S tier. Caught in a Mosh without question, S rank for me. Only 80s band I know is Queen. You, my friend, are missing out. 'Cause this is my shit. Their best album. What is it? Caught in a Mosh. What is it? Caught in a Mosh. What is it? Caught in a Mosh. Don't tell me how to do my job. Then we get the fucking Drake and Josh clip where the UPS guy's like, don't tell me what to do. But yeah, got a bunch of S tiers, good bit of A tiers, some B tiers, and like 3 songs that I consider weak on here. But yeah, I'm sure we can think of a bunch more. Me being a hardcore, 80s metal enthusiast, I could just sit here all day and talk about great, 80s music and whatnot. But that would take up a lot of time. And let's export this GH80's tier list. There we go. Now I can switch back over to main window and quit GIMP. Don't need to save because I already exported. Yeah, I'm a 90s kid. Me too, but that doesn't mean that, you know, you can't enjoy older music and whatnot. You know, I do, to the extent where older people look at me and think I'm weird for knowing all this shit. It would have been nice if I were alive in the 80s as well, but, you know, the reason I don't really feel that as much is mostly because if I were in the 80s, I wouldn't exactly have the capabilities to do what I do now and be able to search out stuff and chronicle the stuff the way that I do and be able to broadcast it like this and whatnot, because the internet wasn't really a thing back then. That's sort of why I don't really say, oh, I wish I was born in the wrong generation or anything like that. That's why you don't really see me saying that, is because of the kind of advantages that I feel we kind of have in the here and now. Package for Josh Nichols. Thanks. Have a good day. Don't tell me what to do. Calvin Harris will make love to you. Oh, God. Fun fact. This was the result of me mixing regular Mountain Dew with blue Mountain Dew and then pouring more regular into it. This is what the color is. Yeah, Calvin Harris has never been my thing, like, at all. It's not really my kind of music. Never really heard anything from him that really just made me go, huh, you know, not bad. Ready for the Weekend is my favorite album. I am cool, I guess. Agreed, Stupid Bird. Green Day over Calvin Harris. Of course, you know, if you're wanting to talk Green Day, you know, check out the What's Wrong With I did on them, where I talk a good length about the impact Green Day had on me. I wouldn't say their stuff nowadays is particularly amazing. Like it goes without saying, Uno, Dos, and Tre are crap. And Revolution Radio is okay at best, and then you got Father of All Motherfuckers, which is just weak. Father of All is a cringe boomer rock album. That's kind of what I was getting at with that. You know, it's nothing really exciting for Green Day, and it's nothing super exciting for us, the audience. So that's why I don't particularly think Father of All was a good, you know, outing. Yeah. What's wrong with Anthrax? Nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong. I think they've always been pretty consistent. I don't know. Maybe some people just think, oh, they made a song with Public Enemy, ew. Or anything like that. Or, oh, he played in a band with members of Fall Out Boy, ew. You know, there's probably people that complain about that, but it's like, come on. Volume 8 and Stomp 442 is what's wrong. The punching bag of metal? Maybe of the big four, but metal? I don't think so. Like, as far as, like, the big four goes, they've always been, like, the band that, like, out of the big four, they're the band that sort of gets looked down on the most compared to Slayer, Megadeth, and Metallica. Though in my opinion, I've always liked them much better than Slayer. Not as much as Megadeth, and about on par with Metallica. That Public Enemy and Anthrax collab is more evolution than Slayer's entire discography. And honestly, you know, I think it was one of the best things to happen to metal at the time, honestly. Because without it, it's doubtful that metal would have evolved the way it has. Who's the punching bag of metal? These days, it's Trapped. These days, people will say that Nickelback basically handed the torch over to Trapped as being the punching bag. And even before all the Trapped drama happened, I've always found Nickelback better than Trapped. Well, other than Cannibal Corpse, Culture Club is the punching bag of new wave and synth pop. We got Rage Against the Machine as a result of that collab. Yeah, it definitely played a part in shaking that up and influencing what was to come there. Yeah, that's why I cannot hate Bring the Noise or I'm the Man. Nu metal is not shitty. There are some good bands. There's a lot of cringe bands, yes. But there's some pretty great ones as well. That's why you're not going to see me complain about nu metal all that much. Especially not in 2020. System of a Down with their first two albums. First two albums people tend to say are the best. I think all their discography is great. System are definitely one of the best in alternative metal. Definitely one of the most outside the box compared to their temporaries and all that. And that's why they're remembered so fondly. Of course, you know, they're also an example of how to do politics right in music. Limp Bizkit is also a punching bag. Yeah, they're a meme. I'd say they're more of a meme than a punching bag. These days, I don't really see people complain about Limp Bizkit so much as just make fun of them and make fun of Fred Durst and all that. So yeah. There are good nu metal bands, but they can be hard to find. You're saying that to the wrong guy. Alternative metal, which is basically the more technical term that I have for nu metal, it's one of my favorite genres of metal. Next to prog, it's like my favorite next to prog. Like the various sort of implementations that create the sound and the general kind of oomph that it kind of has going for it. That's why, you know, I've always had a love for that, you know, for that style. Like I could go on about, you know, my favorite alt metal bands and all that. Nickelback had Hesher EP Trapped as headstrong as a frontman himself said. I agree on Limp Bizkit. Alice in Chains' best alternative metal band. They're definitely one of the best. For sure. Limp Bizkit, it's not the musicianship that's the problem, it's more Fred Durst is the problem. Exactly. Like, Wes Borland is actually a good guitarist. And the drums are pretty groovy as well. It's really just Fred that is just him being such a fucking goof that just drives everything down so much. Dad, can you Google Limp Bizkit for me? I wouldn't Google Limp Bizkit with your dick. Tool Army. Tool is like progressive alternative metal, really. Yeah, Deftones are a great one there as well. Of course, my favorite band is an alternative metal band, Alter Bridge. So you can tell that's another big part of why I really love that genre. Like, I couldn't ask for a better direction for metal to go in after the 80s, because that, along with the prog stuff, definitely made things more fresh in the metal scene. And like I've been saying a lot, in order to stay relevant, you need to be willing to freshen things and shake things up and whatnot. Because if you're going to do the same thing forever, then people are going to eventually lose interest. Same thing with Creed, talented musicians, but Scott Stapp, of course, you know. I'm forgiving, I guess, because Mark Tremonti is in the band, and Mark Tremonti is a god. I heard Tool beat Taylor Swift last year. Yes, because I mentioned that in a video that I made last year. And funny you're mentioning that now, because Taylor Swift has a new album out right now, and I'm hearing people say it's boring, and it's like, of course it's fucking boring. If Fred Durst wasn't a douche, no one would really give a shit, though. That's kind of a thing, too. Like, another thing, this is something else I remember saying in the Why I Hate the Rock is Dead argument video, is that bands these days don't really have characters in the band. Fred Durst was a character, and when you have a character in your band, that is something that, you know, gets people to pay attention and whatnot. And there aren't really that much, you know, characters you can think of in bands, and I think that's something that newer bands should strive to have. Just have a member in the band that is basically the character, the one that really just, you know, snags the attention and whatnot, and is like the face in the band. Moron Police made a better prog album in 2019 than Tool. Where did I think I didn't rank that higher than Fear Inoculum in my 2019 ranking. Let me look at that. Fear Inoculum I put at number 18, and Moron Police I put at number 24. So, pretty close. Their album last year, Moron Police's album, was excellent. They're a band that I really hope goes further. Fear Inoculum was their worst album, but it's kind of growing on me. For me, it's ranked number 4 for me out of the 5. For me, it's Undertow, Fear Inoculum, 10,000 Days, Enema, Lateralis. Imagine Scott Stapp and Chad Kroeger. Scad Stroger. Chot crap. Every single Tool album was in top 20 when Fear Inoculum was. Taylor Swift new album cover looks like an atmospheric black metal cover. Yeah, bands would have a gimmick just like a wrestling show. Like, obviously you don't want to be too gimmicky and whatnot, because then there's the potential that people might just not really take you seriously for the music and just see you as being too much of a gimmick and whatnot. So you really got to sort of find a balance between that, you know. Have a gimmick going, have a character, have a member that's basically the face, the character, but also have, you know, something to offer, so it's more than just, hey, we're just really goofy on the internet. Joe Exotic is like the likable version of Fred Durst. I hope Tool hijack Taylor Swift's new album again. Wouldn't that be great? Disillusion did Tool better than Tool last year. I hear a lot of complaining from Taylor Swift fans crying because of that. Yep, that was a thing. People were complaining about this band they had never heard of. And what I had said in the Why I Hate the Rock is Dead argument video was that, you know, since Tool wasn't on streaming platforms for the longest time until the release of Fear Inoculum, it's sort of understandable why younger kids probably wouldn't know them, because they aren't like readily accessible on Spotify and iTunes and whatnot. On YouTube, probably, yeah, but nowhere else. Because, like, what I had to do when I was first learning about Tool was, because I couldn't buy anything of theirs on iTunes because it weren't on iTunes, and this was before I learned how to torrent. I actually bought all 4 of the albums that they had out at the time, was because that was the only way I could get a hold of them. So, you know, that's kind of how out of my way I went. Yeah, younger kids did get exposure to rock. Well, the rock they do get exposed to is more readily accessible and, you know, debatable if it matches up to, you know, some older stuff and all that. Ghost and King Gizzard are the only bands I love with a gimmick. I've mentioned a number of times that I'm not a fan of Ghost. I couldn't get into them. And with King Gizzard, you know, the reason I haven't gotten into them is mostly because their discography comes across as really daunting because of how giant it is. You know, it's like it reminds me a lot of Buckethead and how giant his discography is. They'd be like, "What the hell is Tool? Is that a rapper?" Yes. And then we insert the clip of Ozzy Osbourne saying, "What the fuck's a Bieber?" And then screenshots of, you know, saying, "What? Hey, look how cool Post is helping this Ozzy Osbourne guy get his career started." And it's like, you kids. I first got into Tool because the fans of that band spammed them in the Watch Mojo comments of the Prog Band's video. Of course they would. Buckethead is great background music. He's an excellent musician, but his discography is way too big. Like, he's somebody that I outright refuse to actually listen to the full discography of just because of how giant it is. Thanks for helping this new Aussie fellow get his career going strong, Post Malone. Okay, Zoomer. Thank God for Post Malone with his Aussie collab, otherwise kids wouldn't know rock music. Again, I feel that's a bit much. You know, it's more so they wouldn't know, you know, who Ozzy is. Because I think it's kind of unfair to say they just don't know rock at all. I feel that's a bit generalizing and whatnot. Because I like to think kids these days enjoy some rock. It's just not their forte, or at least not their forte yet, I should say. And that's why I feel like, you know, there's some particular measures bands could take to sort of get themselves to be, you know, a younger individual's, like, new thing and whatnot, and really just get them interested and all that. Post Malone is a rock musician trying to rap and ends up sounding like pop. Still good, though, pretty much. I never really saw him as much of a rapper. Like, there's definitely some rap elements. Definitely, but Post is okay. Yeah, I was able to get into his music fine. Wouldn't say I like everything I've heard from him, but yeah. Considering there's no rock in the mainstream at all, and that pissed me off. Watch the Punk Rock MBA's second to most recent video. The one about... Shit. I'm going to need to find out what that's called. I know what it's about. I just need to read the title. There it is. The Sad State of Rock in 2020. Watch that video. He talks about artists these days incorporating some rock and emo elements and whatnot, and how it's actually a good thing for the state of the scene, as long, and it really all just lies on people's willingness to either open up to that or adapt to that, or just, be okay with it and not be a gatekeeper or a purist or anything like that, because, that's one of the biggest things that I think is harming things, is people being closed-minded. And, sorry to say, stupid bird, but some of the things that you're saying there are kind of, stupid. They come across as really boomer-like, and I don't think it's at all helpful for, improving the state of rock and metal in the here and now. Yeah, saying shit like, why is rap overtaking rock? Because they're better at social media. And they're better at having a character, having a personality and whatnot. I talked about this in my video, in my Why I Hate the Rock is Dead argument video, how I can understand why rock musicians might feel reluctant to be bad guys, to be a bit, out there in personality and whatnot, because they want to be taken seriously, which is why, like I've been saying, you need to find a balance with that, to where you're not embarrassing yourself too much, you're not being too cringy and whatnot, you're not taking too much attention away from the music, because that's what the focus is supposed to be. I'm on Post Malone, Hollywood's Bleeding is a great album. There's no evolution in rock. And that's a problem. There needs to be some evolution taking place. There needs to be some experimentation. There needs to be some shaking up. Because, if you think back and actually look at some of the most successful artists, there was some experimentation taking place. And without that going on, shit's just going to get stale and repetitive and not that interesting. I see that Punk Rock NBA video. Watch that video. Watch more of his videos, because he's an excellent YouTuber with some great insight on, how to be successful and all that. And the boomer attitudes towards new music does not help. It absolutely does not. Yeah, boomer mentality gotta stop too. Yeah. Those are the two biggest problems in rock nowadays is nostalgia purists and genre purists. Basically, both of those things are really just hindering everything. So basically, yeah, the metal elitists and the boomers, which sometimes are one and the same, not all the time, but they can intersect a fair amount of the time. Chon, I think, is actually an example of a band that has some personality in its members. Like, when you think of them, you think of somebody that actually is like the face of the band. Mario Camarena, one of the two guitarists. He's the face in the band. He's, the first face you can put to it, the first one that comes to mind, because he's, good at social media and actually having a presence and all that. And that's why I view Chon as successful. And, even having something like that going for you would definitely be enough, in my opinion. We have too many rock bands trying to throw back to the 80s instead of trying something new and experimenting. Yeah, like with throwback bands, that's kind of a mixed thing. That's the thing I'm kind of mixed on. On one hand, I can respect a band just wanting to pay tribute to an era that they really like and wanting to make that kind of music because they enjoy it and they want to, attract that audience and whatnot. But the only problem with that is that it's just going to end up being kind of niche. And it's unlikely that you're going to get super far out if you're just, doing throwback stuff and whatnot. Like, when it comes to throwback bands, I can appreciate a good throwback band, but I'm not sure we need more of those. Like, again, it feels weird talking about that in a stream that's mostly about a tier list of songs from, you know, the 80s and all that. You know, like, don't get me wrong. I love my 80s music. I love it very much. But we can't act like it's still the 80s. We can't act like we need to go back to the 80s or anything like that. You know, rather than trying to return to the past, maybe what we should really try to be doing is making the future better, you know? It's one reason why I love that South Park episode with, you know, the future people coming in, because that's one of the messages in that episode, is rather than returning to the past, you know, because rather than just, you know, being all nostalgia blind and stuck in the past and not wanting to move on, I just don't think that's healthy. Marcy Free, ooh. Formerly Mark Free. Yes, one of the first trans metal musicians that comes to mind. Was the singer in a band called King Cobra. Then, what did he do after that? I'm not sure what he did after that, but I know in the early 90s he had Unruly Child that was mentioned earlier in this stream, and then he put out a solo album that was really nice, and then he became Marcy. Some throwback bands are okay, but they can get boring real quick. Yeah, what's new nowadays? Trap. I want to hear some bands combine trap and rock. That's funny enough. That's something that Chon actually did on their second album, Homie. It's the only album that I have on vinyl. They throw some trap stuff in there, and granted, it's my least favorite of Chon's albums, but you know, you still hear, you know, the, you know, mathy clean leads and all that you love from them. But they're shaking things up on that album. Same with Polyphia on New Levels, New Devils. He's going to take you back to the past. Basically, we shouldn't live in the past is the simplest way to put it. I like South Park. I love it. It's tied with Seinfeld for my favorite show of all time. Marcy Free is definitely cool. Yeah. I know her better as Mark Free, but, you know, obviously if we're wanting to, you know, be up to date, that's what, you know, the name is now. You know, it's kind of like what I remember Drake Bell saying about Caitlyn Jenner. Guitar Hero shits the 80s. Fuck this shitty modern game. It's garbage. It doesn't hold up as well as it did. God damn it. Screw you. Chon at least took a risk and tried something new with that album. Exactly. That's why I can't hate the album. You know, it was still my favorite album of 2017. It's just my least favorite out of Chon's albums. Grow being my favorite and the self-titled being my second favorite. Every time there is vocals in math rock, it's mixed as low as a Slint song. Yeah. Instrumental forever. It's a big reason why they're one of my favorite bands. And the selfie I took with Mario is also one of my favorite selfies. It's my favorite selfie ever that I ever got at a concert. Remember concerts? I'm surprised PC Culture didn't cancel South Park. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people that complain about it. I remember last year when there was an episode about a trans athlete, there were people just getting really uppity about that. And it's like, dude, South Park makes fun of everybody. Nothing's sacred. Nobody is safe from this. You know, that's the way that it's always been with that show. You're not safe. I'm not safe. You know, they've made fun of, you know, I guess groups that I'm a part of. You know, I might not be, I might not consider myself Jewish anymore, but, they make a lot of Jew jokes. And, they've even made some digs at, metal and gothic stuff and all that. It's just the nature of the beast, Neutral Milk Hotel has the worst vocalist in music. I know they're a band that, hipsters love to jerk it to. That's all I really know about Neutral Milk Hotel. I've listened to the song, that album, In the Airplane Over the Sea. It's alright. Not amazing, in my opinion. Mumford & Sons, Neutral... I never got into Mumford & Sons. Yeah. There was one, I'm gonna need to, by the way, Hair Metal Brony, I love how that last thing you posted showed up as me having to review it. I love that. I need to find this old screen cap that I remember taking of a friend of mine complaining about South Park. I'm gonna have to go back to, because this was in 2017 when I took this. I need to read this out to you. 2016, that's too far. Still too far. Getting closer. You need to fucking hear this. Still it was after this. There it is. Okay, let me read this. To be blunt, I loathe the show now. I mean, I was once a fan, but then I grew, and in retrospective, I saw the old episodes and seen how cynical and nihilistic it is. No wonder people think it is a favorite among the alt-right. But what disappointed me is that they have chances to grow the fuck up, but refuse to do so. Even with the last season, they tried to make Trump look bad, but when he won, they decided to not even touch the subject in the next season. What a bunch of fucking cowards. This show made it okay to be anti-Semitic, misogynistic, and even believing that both sides are equally shit. Note the turd sandwich and douche episode I fucking hate. To be blunt, they should have addressed these issues, and enough with the nihilistic hipster attitude that drew people from the alt-right to them in the first place, and actually take a fucking stand. I'm so tired of this shit in pop culture and now in politics. Hell, Trump is Eric Cartman, and I'm surprised the alt-right haven't used him as a symbol rather than the fucking Pepe meme. But the creators know their audience and won't even attempt it. They're stuck in the Arrested Development, and it's their own doing. Okay, rant over. Sorry for it being this long. And that really disappointed me reading it. Really just... that's basically what, what the social justice types tend to think of South Park. And it's sad. Craig's gang stands gang. Honestly, the jokes Family Guy make are way worse and make more offensively bad. That's debatable. South Park pulls no punches. They'll make fun of everyone. They are not as mean-spirited as Family Guy. Family Guy is really tame compared to South Park, honestly. There's going to be a time where we'd be like, remember concerts? It's idiots like that make more left-leaning people look bad. PC culture mad at South Park. SMDH. Yeah. And of course, you also saw in there, you heard him say, I grew up. And we all know who says that. And why that's kind of a not very great thing to say. It's kind of an ironic thing to say. South Park may take the easy way out in a debate, but that's why I love it. Like, one thing that I really want to do in the future is I made this list of the episodes that I think hold up the best nowadays, that I think have like the best lessons that again I think are still relevant today. I want to make that its own stream or series of streams in the future, but I don't want to get a bit ahead of myself there. I already mentioned one episode that's going to be on there already, but yeah, if you can't make any jokes to the SJW, they'd be triggered every time. I mean, I like to think people might not be as angry as in that screen cap because that was from 2017. I like to think that maybe people have softened up a bit since then, but, you know, there are things that just make it kind of hard to really put into thought. Like, And what's also kind of sad about that screenshot, about that rant, is that it's from someone who actually enjoyed South Park. It's like, really? I mean, I can agree that the newer seasons aren't as good, but I don't hate them. Yeah, I think it would make for a really fun stream to do, but not really in the mood to do it now, especially since I got at least one more of these Guitar Hero streams to do. But anyway, since we've kind of, you know, veered enough off topic and got, I think, something else that I'm needing to do. Let me refresh my YouTube feed and see what else I got. Yeah. So I think I'm going to end it here. Thank you all for watching. I enjoyed doing this. What are you saying here? They already canceled Family Guy by firing that Cleveland voice actor. Yes, I did a stream on that. But yeah, thank you for hanging with me on this and listening to me gush about 80s music and all that, and the discussions that took place after. Thank you for chilling. Take care. Have a good rest of your evening.